I've been getting so caught up in the excitement of creating videos that I found interesting that I completely neglected getting started. So we're going to stumble through all of the documentation and everything together. And by the end of this, you should have a good idea of what's what and where to start. So you've decided to get a PKMS, Personal Knowledge Management System, and you're weighing up whether you want to use Logseq. Where do you start? Well, like you see on the screen here on the left, we got the Logseq OG. So this is the Markdown version of Logseq. This is as the name suggests, it's the OG. And I've been using the OG Logseq for the last few years, and I've only just recently, as of starting these videos, gone over to using the database version. And the biggest reason that I started using the database version is, one, because it's now in beta, and two, the sync is just absolutely blisteringly, lightningly, supercalifragilistically, it's warp speed times faster than the OG sync. And that's not even exaggeration. I would be spending, like previously on the OG version on my phone, putting aside the fact that my phone has terrible battery optimization and stuff like that, but putting that aside, it was taking me between, on average, it was taking like between 1 to 3 minutes before I could even use the app, because I couldn't make any edits or anything like that in the app until it had finished syncing. Because any time that I tried to make an edit before it finished syncing, it would basically just kick me out, and I would have to write it all over again. So it was a very frustrating experience, and I've put up with that for quite a while. So this is the Logseq OG. So if you want to try this one, it's github.com/logseq/OG, and then you go to releases and you'll see all of the options here, right? So you've got APK for Android, you got DMG and you got app image for Linux. Windows has got a few different options. I generally just go with the exe. Let's put this in big writing. What are my options? So we got Logseq OG, Markdown, Logseq DB, which is sqlite. So the Logseq database version literally has a database that it adds all the information to, and it increases possibilities with what you can do with it. It's creating tables and doing all sorts of funky stuff like that, whereas the Markdown version is literally just flat files. And for a lot of people, the Markdown version is the best version. And if it wasn't for sync and stuff like that, I think I would still lean more towards Markdown. Nevertheless, so this one is, let's just copy the URL and we can keep track of that. So that is like so, and the Logseq. So Logseq is now the current DB version of Logseq. So those are the two options that you can start with. How do I install? The cool thing about it is, if you want to try it, whether you want to try the OG version or the DB database version, you don't need to. So you don't need to install it. You can, this is going to expand out into a big complex web of documentation and websites, but that's okay. We are here for it. So if you want to check out the Markdown version, let's put it under here so it's all nice and organized. If you want to try out the Markdown version of Logseq, you can do so by visiting this website, demo. If you want to try out the DB version of Logseq, you would go to app. If you want to live on the bleeding edge, so you want to test out the absolute latest version, then you would go to test. If you've ever installed a program on your computer, you're going to understand how to do this, right? So I mean, it's literally just going to be a matter of clicking on the one. You got to know which one is for you, right? So that might be the tricky part. So Android, it's easy. There's only one option. It's .apk. Depending on how your phone is configured, you might have some issues. Oh, and it is, I believe it's available in the Apple App Store as well. But I don't actually know which version. Let's have a look and see what version it is. So if we go to, I'll make sure we get rid of our. All right. So Apple App Store. What's it called? Is it just the Apple? Is it just the App Store? App Store. Can we search? Can we search? Yeah, here we go. All right, so, okay. What the fuck? See. Oh my God, this is a fucking terrible experience. Logseq, search. Sorry, there's been an error. Let's see if we can disable this. There we go. Okay, so it was because of my ad blocking. Lovely. Anyway. Okay, so if we look here, say what version it is? Version 10.0. Okay, so this would be this is the Markdown version. Yeah, so as we can see by the images that I can't click on for some reason, so when you choose a folder, it's going to start saving all of your Markdown files in there, and we can see I mean, it's not necessarily immediately apparent unless you're very familiar with Logseq, but so it looks like that's the Markdown version, 0.10.9. Is that even the latest version? What have we got? Oh, they bumped it to 1.0.0 now. Yeah, because that's the beta tags. Okay. I mean, like, to be honest, the development and everything else is all over the place with Logseq. They didn't really progress much at all for a very long time, and people were very disheartened by the development process and progress. So, I mean, I'm sure that many people churned away from Logseq. But this graph here, this is demo.logseq.com if you just want to try it out, and you can click on the hamburger menu. You can add a new graph. You can tell when you're on the Markdown version, because if you go here on the left-hand side where my mouse is and click on that, it will have different options here. So it'll say like add a new DB graph or something like that. But this one, add a new graph, and then you'll have to specify a directory. But I mean, this is perfectly valid if you want to test it out. Just keep in mind that any changes that you make to demo.logseq.com won't hold. So they won't actually take effect. So we've got test.logseq.com. This is I guess the latest version, right? If we go to settings, we can see the version. So this is the current version 2.0.1. So I think actually the app.logseq.com and test.logseq.com are more or less sync. So if we go to app.logseq.com, and then we can check the settings here. 2.0.1. So right now, app.logseq.com and test.logseq.com are both the same version, but that may change when they develop. Just remember that app.logseq.com is kind of the most stable version. Test.logseq.com is for the bleeding edge, so it will contain all of the nightly. So the OG version of Logseq will no longer be getting features in the future. They have claimed that they will be providing like security updates and things like that, but they won't be adding any new features to the OG version, which I mean is probably perfectly fine for the people who want to use the Markdown version anyway. But the other problem with that is as well that these aren't probably ever going to get fixed. All of these issues that you see here probably won't get fixed. And I want to do some videos about the issues, GitHub issues as well, because I'm not convinced that I think, as often the case with computers and software and everything else, the problem can exist in the chair and not in the actual computer or program. This doesn't need to be a super long video, but I just wanted to go over sort of the very basics of getting started, because I hadn't done that yet. But if you have any video suggestions or topics that you want me to cover, slap them down in the comment and I will add them to my backlog. And so just keep in mind that I do have a backlog of videos that they're getting published on a regular cadence. So yeah. All right, see you in the next one.